Yeah. And look at that, Anthony. You and
That's an unedited photograph of you and Anthony working out.
It is. You and Anthony do a show together, right?
Yeah, just that previous photo. Sometimes the way photos are presented, those pants are the shorts I'm wearing are actually turquoise, but
I can tell.
You could. I don't know why, whose screen that is or what it is, but it's portraying my shorts as a slightly different shade. They're not.
What the fuck is this? That's him with an afro. That's
what
funny.
am I seeing? It was more plates, more dates, but stuck on his head.
How long have you known Anthony? He's been on our show a bunch of times, and I'm like the biggest old Opie and Anthony fan from back in the day. I think it's the funniest show of all time.
I met him right after he got kicked off of Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
That was about 10 years ago. And dude, I didn't grow up with Opie and Anthony because I was in Canada when that show was big.
Yeah.
And I just saw on YouTube him laughing at African aviation and like when they build a helicopter.
The Zimbabwe helicopter. Yes.
Flight Lieutenant Mangumbo.
Flight Lieutenant Mangumbo. Yeah, dude, that's one of the funniest fucking video and shout out to that YouTube channel. They take all the old bits like the one Gavin's describing and they put it to the video they're discussing. It's hysterical. That's where you also can find retard cooking.
I'd never seen anyone mock that before. And it's the elephant in the room. Like when you see it, you go, that's embarrassing. And there's no way that could ever fly, you fucking idiots. And everyone's like, yeah, that's a great helicopter. Try again. Maybe get better.
I'm stuck, Gavin, because so I looked at it through that lens for a while, which is like, this guy is the biggest moron to have ever moroned. That will never fly. That is a model of a helicopter. It's not a helicopter. And then I was like, maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe he's playing a prank on people like me that he thinks this is a real helicopter.
I think he was. Yeah, I think you're giving him too much credit. That individual
people way too much credit. That
really?
Guy.
So he was serious.
Merrill Howard Kalin also not retarded. He was just putting that. He was just pretending when he cooked those.
No, Merrill Howard Kalin.
One video. If you look up African like homemade planes and helicopters, there's dozens, and none of them make it this far off the ground.
Oh, and that African, the African guy sitting there is like six. He's like 6'10". He's got a badly painted red circle on his yellow bicycle helmet, and I am partially in this video convinced that the interviewer guy is trolling because his intro is like, for too long, Zimbabweans have lagged behind aviation on a global scale until now. Introducing Flight Lieutenant Adam Magumbe. And then he goes
I can't tell if he's kidding or not, that guy. I've watched that video 900 times and I'm like, have you brainwashed yourself? Like, what's going on? But anyway, when I saw those, I was like, holy shit, someone is finally identifying the elephant in the room and laughing.
Winnebago.
Zach is killing it.
When I met him, we did Red Eye together, and we went out for drinks after. He was carrying at the time. He was allowed to have guns in New York. And he said, one of the first sentences he ever said to me was, when did it become so offensive to tell the truth? And I fell madly in love, head over heels at that moment. But dude, old men are a hard court. You can't just like, you gotta, it's like fucking Eva Mendes. Like you gotta suggest beers, and because they already have their friends. They're not looking for new pals. So it took me like 5 years to get in his pants, basically.
What's up?
Dude, he's, oh my God. Old Opie and Anthony clips when him and Jimmy are banging on all cylinders, throwing it back and forth, make me laugh more than probably any comedy content I've watched.
And
old Jim and Ant in their prime.
And take a call or say, what about slavery? And you can even with just the audio, you can see Ant and Jim go,
oh yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, Opie like that. I was like a big r/Opie and Anthony, the Reddit community. I didn't ever, participate or contribute, but I was a big time lurker for many years. And my God, the amount those people hated every single person ever even semi-affiliated with the Opie and Anthony show, other than Colin Quinn, was one of the funniest funniest forums of all time. It would be like the only people who didn't get bullied all the time were Colin Quinn and Patrice O'Neill, who was long dead by that point.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like everyone else, was
Reddit,
just
subreddit,
roasted.
they always hate
O&A kind of invented the whole doxing, stalking, ruining of lives that Antifa and the far left have picked up, and it ended up sabotaging Anthony's life, not in a big way, but Joe Cumia was having all his shows canceled, and that was kind of their thing.
Yeah. They were, even at that time when you could get away with more stuff, they were hyper offensive. I was like driving a rental car in 2014 because I worked at a rental place, not on leisure. I was working at Enterprise, driving that shit around. And I remember in 2014 sitting there hating myself, hating my life, no prospects. The only thing that like kind of kept me going was like, at least I can listen to the Opie and Anthony channel on the free Sirius XM in this 2013 Hyundai accent. And then Opie and Jim came on and were like, bad news, Anthony's been let go. And I'm like, all right, when does the bit end? And I was like actually upset by that. That was the first bit of media cancellation where I was like, no.
I think not that getting fired, but didn't O&A invent like cancel culture? I know this sounds, I'm shitting.
What they did, it was called Jocktober, and they would spend all of October every year clipping other radio shows and like ruthlessly making fun of them. And sometimes it would be like, hey, get a load of this big fat bitch in market number 103 in Kentucky. And so that person has like 65 regular listeners. And then Opie and Anthony, which was at the time the second show to Howard Stern, is about number of listeners with comedy, was making fun of them. And so, yeah, definitely a little. Yeah, there we go.
God,
there we go.
damn.
Terry, listen to the Terry Clifford tapes. They're very funny. And in the end,
bad for that woman.
In the end, Terry Clifford got a little W because someone like, it was after Anthony had got fired from Sirius XM that someone like wrote into like a Terry Clifford show and was like, what do you think about Anthony getting fired? And she was like, oh, really? That's a damn shame. And then like just kept going along with it. I'm like, okay, that was pretty fucking funny. It takes a lot to roll with those punches.
But he bounced back. You know, you can always judge someone's merit by what they do after the thing. And Opie was clearly being held up by Sirius. He's done nothing after he left. Anthony was clearly, you know, paying his bills. He was an important part of that show because after he leaves, he makes his own thing. And I wouldn't have this kind of platform if it wasn't for Anthony. So
do you think he wishes he'd shot her?
He's kicked out of Project Veritas. Oh my God, he must be a horrible guy. What happens to Project Veritas after he leaves? It collapses immediately. And James O'Keefe was kicking ass today. Today, he released a video where he went to one of these migrant centers dressed as a bum and exposed them all for bringing in busloads and busloads of illegal immigrants while they're prosecuting him for trespassing. And at one point in the video that came out today, the detective is like, you need to get out of here. And as he's talking, a bus full of illegals goes behind him. It's like, couldn't be more perfect.